हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे राम हरे हरे, जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद, हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. 6:30. We can go ahead and start. Going to share my screen. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 5, entitled Talks Between Maitreya Muni and Vidura. Text 51 is what we're on. Give me 1 second. Locate this screen. 51. ततो वयं मत्प्रमुख्या यदर्थे बभूविवात्मन् करवाम किं ते त्वं नः स्वचक्षुः परिदेहि शक्त्या Deva kriyarthe yad anugrahanam. And once more. Tato vayam mat pramukha yadarthe babhuvivatman karavama kimte. Tvam nah swachakshuh paridehi shaktya deva kriyarthe yad anugrahanam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation: O Supreme Self, please give us, who are created in the beginning from the Mahat Tattva, the total cosmic energy, your kind directions on how we shall act. Kindly award us your perfect knowledge and potency so that we can render you service in the different departments of subsequent creation. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Lord creates this material world and impregnates a material energy with the living entities who will act in the material world. All these actions have a divine plan behind them. The plan is to give the conditioned souls who so desire it a chance to enjoy sense gratification. But there is another plan behind the creation, to help the living entities realize that they are created for the transcendental sense gratification of the Lord and not for their individual sense gratification. This is the constitutional position of the living entities. The Lord is one without a second, and he expands himself into many for his transcendental pleasure. All the expansions, the Vishnu Tattvas, the Jiva Tattvas, and the Shakti Tattvas, the personalities of Godhead, the living entities, and the different potencies are different offshoots from the same one Supreme Lord. The Jiva Tattvas are separated expansions of the Vishnu Tattvas. And although the Jivas have different potencies, they are meant for the transcendental sense gratification of the Supreme Lord. Some of the Jivas, however, wanted to lord it over material nature in imitation of the lordship of the personality of Godhead. Regarding when and why such propensities overcame the pure living entities, it can only be explained that the Jiva Tattvas have infinitesimal independence, and that due to misuse of this independence, some of the living entities have become implicated in the conditions of cosmic creation and are therefore called Nitya Baddhas, or eternally conditioned souls. The expansions of Vedic wisdom also give the Nitya Baddhas, conditioned living entities, a chance to improve. And those who take advantage of such transcendental knowledge gradually regain their lost consciousness of rendering transcendental loving service to the Lord. The demigods are amongst the conditioned souls who have developed this pure consciousness of service to the Lord, but who at the same time continue to desire to lord it over the material energy. Such mixed consciousness puts a conditioned soul in the position of managing the affairs of this creation. The demigods are entrusted leaders of the conditioned souls. As some of the old prisoners in government jails are entrusted with some responsible work of prison management, so the demigods are improved conditioned souls acting as representatives of the Lord in the material creation. Such demigods are devotees of the Lord in the material world, and when completely free from all material desire to lord it over the material energy, they become pure devotees and have no desire but to serve the Lord. Therefore, any living entity who desires a position in the material world, may desire so in the service of the Lord and may seek power and intelligence from the Lord, as exemplified by the demigods in this particular verse. One cannot do anything unless he is enlightened and empowered by the Lord. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Mattaha smritir jnanam apohanam cha. all recollections, knowledge, etc., as well as all forgetfulness are engineered by the Lord who is sitting within the heart of everyone. The intelligent man seeks the help of the Lord, and the Lord helps the sincere devotees engaged in his multifarious services. The demigods are entrusted by the Lord to create different species of living entities according to their past deeds. They are herein asking the favor of the Lord for the intelligence and power to carry out their task. Similarly, any conditioned soul may also engage in the service of the Lord under the guidance of an expert spiritual master, and thus gradually become freed from the entanglement of material existence. The spiritual master is the manifested representative of the Lord, and anyone who puts himself under the guidance of a spiritual master and acts accordingly is said to be acting in terms of buddhi yoga, as explained in Bhagavad Gita 2.41. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeh kurunandana bahushakha hi anantascha buddhayo avyavasayinam. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto, fifth chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Vidura's Talks with Maitreya. Krishna. So this was the last verse of the fifth chapter, where we saw, starting with Vidura asking questions of Maitreya Muni. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Dhananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna. So this was again a conclusion to the question of Vidura Muni asking Maitreya Muni about explaining about the overall position of the living entity in respect to transcendental devotional service to the Lord. Going through real quick, so we also saw there was explanation of the of what the Supreme Lord can do for all the people, and remembering Him and the devotee, how the relationship, and then these are questions where Vidura specifically directs and asks about the welfare of all people. So, and then we see that Maitreya Muni goes through all the descriptions of the cosmic world, the various aspects of creation, the subtle and gross elements of the material world, and leads into how the Mahat Tattva eventually is actually coming from the Supreme Lord, and leads into Him at the end of this material world when it wraps up. And we saw also how all the elements, they go one into into each other, they collapse in reverse form. And finally, now we are seeing in these last few verses of the chapter how how the demigods are actually praising the Lord, and stating somewhere in verse 43 or 45, somewhere they say that we do not know, this whole creation is has come from you, O Lord, but we do not know how to actually perform our activities. To locate that verse, it was somewhere here, I think. There is parts and parcels somewhere around here. They say, when they start, they say this whole creation is there, but we do not have we do not know. So please guide us where they're praying. So and in response, the next chapter we will see how how the answers are, and so on. So in this last verse, they're concluding by saying, oh yeah, right here. So your kind directions on how we shall act. It's this verse itself, how we shall act, and kindly award us your perfect knowledge and potency, so that we can render you service in the different departments of subsequent creation. Just like we have the example of offering the water of Mother Ganga to herself. Similarly, the demigods are asking how we can use your energies that you have given us to render service back to you. So a few quick slides I put together, and some pictures for discussion. So that's the verse. O Supreme Self, please give us who are created in the beginning from the Mahat Tattva, the total cosmic energy, your kind directions on how we shall act. Kindly award us your perfect knowledge and potency so that we can render you service in the different departments of subsequent creation. So the Supreme Lord, Lord Vishnu, creates uh, this whole world, and then and the different departments are assigned to the demigods. And as Prabhupada explains in the purport, the demigods are actually very refined beings. They're still part of the marginal potency of the Lord, namely the living entities. But however, they have much more advanced capabilities, not only in terms of where they are in their spiritual aspect, and that is why they get those positions, but also in terms of material advancement. So 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 actually, in a sense, they are in a very tricky position, as we see in this world itself. It is said that more power we have, the more it has a chance to corrupt, right? We see, very high placed government officials could be involved in corruption because they are on this very high post. A lot of responsibility is expected. And if you go wrong, it leads to bad results or disastrous results. So they have a big responsibility. So let us see a little more about, so this is a picture that's showing various demigods. This is an older a painting, I think, from one of the earlier versions of the Bhagavad Gita. And so here we see 10th chapter being depicted, the opulences of the absolute Bhagavad Gita in a 10th chapter. Name vidussuraganaha prabhavam maharshayaha aham adirhi devanam maharshinam ch sarvashaha. So this roughly translates to the 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 demigods and the great sages, Suraganaha, have come from me. So how can they know me? They do not know me fully. So Maharshinam and Devanam. So the sages, the great thinkers, and the demigods, all of them, as we can see around, they have come from Vishnu. There he's lying with his navel, and it's showing Brahma coming from there, and there is the sound. Like we said, like in an earlier classes, we have been seeing that the sound comes out, the transcendental vibration Om, and that is coming, and as we can see that eventually leads to Goloka or Krishna, because sound vibration, transcendental sound vibration, translated uh, to the Maha Mantra, is what leads us back to the spiritual world. It comes from sound, and we go back through sound. So we can see the various demigods in charge of the departments, like Varuna at the bottom, in charge of the oceans, Indra of the skies on top, and all the demigods in between, 33 crore, uh, all the demigods and devotees and so on. So we see that this is a different category. The whole category of the first category is, of course, dead matter, just inert or dead matter in this material world, like stones, rocks, all the metals, everything else we use to work off to build houses and so on. From there on, the next stage is a marginal potency, which is us, which we could go here or there. So we are right in between. And then, of course, there are the demigods who are advanced material beings and have very very refined powers and thought process. And as we can see here, Brahma coming out of the navel again of Vishnu and praying to Lord Vishnu, how can I serve you? How do I begin the process of creation? And that is where it all starts. And then the demigods come and they are asking, as we see in this verse, they themselves are praying again back to the Lord. They come to whenever there is a great disturbance, great demons come on this world, we see that the demigods approach Lord Vishnu on the banks of the Shweta the milk ocean, offer him suitable prayers, and then either request him for a favor to help them to proceed with the situation. Like we saw, there are fights between the demons and the demigods sometimes are overpowered, and they have no option but to go back to Lord Vishnu and pray for mercy and help and protection. Or they actually, if it's so extreme that they know that it is beyond their power. Like when we saw when Kamsa came and was a tyrant, and he was ruling the whole world and subjugating all the demigods, themselves were under his power and control. They had no option and prayed to the Supreme Lord to come himself and descend in as an avatar, or as himself in his original Purusha form, to come and destroy the demons and annihilate the demons, right? So paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya dushkritinam. So we see in all these categories that the Supreme Lord, Lord Vishnu, is in different category. And Prabhupada explains in that purport for this Bhagavad Gita verse 9.25, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan Pitrun Yanti Pitrvrataha Bhutani Yanti Bhutecha Yanti Mad Yajino Api Mam. So here we see that Lord Krishna is explaining to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita that those who approach the demigods, the first line, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan, they go to the demigods. Those who worship the forefathers, that is the Pitrun, they go back to the Pitrvrataha, so that planet of the forefathers, where it is said that the forefathers are accepting the pinda, or the monthly offerings that you do. So my father, even to this date, he performs this monthly, what they have called as tarpanam. So tarpanam, it translates to some kind of a repentance. So basically, you're actually doing these, offering prayers to the forefathers, to his father, and through him to his father, and so on. So it is said that in this process, the forefathers, they wait for the next offering, and if there is no son, or the son has is not performing, then they are starved of the offerings that come to them. So that is actually like a Vedic process, like how this whole thing happens, and the whole the mechanism, and hence it is said that those who worship the forefathers will go to them, and those who worship the demigod, I'm sorry, the ghostly beings, like for instance, all those beings whom we see are surrendered to Lord Shiva, whom he takes charge of them. So those, they go to the planet of the ghosts, where so there are different planets, right? So there are planets where there are demigods ruling. There are planets where there are ghostly beings in the mode of ignorance. So those who are in that mode will approach them. Like for instance, the media we see during Halloween, for example, a lot of worship of the lower modes of nature, spirits and ghosts and hobgoblins and so on. So they go to those planets, and finally, Krishna tells Arjuna, but those who worship me will come to me on my planet of Goloka, where there is no death, and you do not return from there. He says another verse where once having gone, you do not return back to the material world. So we see that in all these verses, and how the categories are different, and Lord Vishnu is not to be placed on the same category or platform as the demigods. Prabhupada explains that this is an offense, trying to think in our mind that everyone, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, and all the demigods are on the same platform. So I worship any one of them, and I will achieve the same result. This Prabhupada points is not a correct understanding of the Vedas. The Lord Vishnu is supreme, and we can see one story after another how there are living entities, us, who are being constantly troubled by the three modes of material nature. Also the three different what is that called, the three different miseries of life, right? Like represented by three prongs of Durga Devi, Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik. Three miseries are constantly, they're haunting us and troubling us. Right now we're in the middle of pandemic, trying to get over one, and then a new variant of COVID coming along, this and that. So there's always one thing or another: war, bad economy, so on. So we're constantly being troubled. Then there are the demigods, who are of course little away from all this, but in turn they have their own problems at their level. It is said that one person's problem could be another person's boon. So we don't see that, right? So demigods have their own problems, and we'll see a quick story where we'll see problem of one of the main demigods. So here we see a depiction of how the demigods get very pleased, like Lord Shiva, Ashutosh is called, right? So where time, okay. So Ashutosh, I mean, he quickly gives boons, and for anyone who worships him. Here we see rain god, Indra through his representatives, Samartaka clouds, as we saw in the story of Govardhan Hill, raining here in, of course, controlled um, in a controlled way, responding to the prayers of the devotees and others who pray to the demigods. Lord, Goddess Lakshmi, offering wealth for those who are dedicated to her and worship her. Goddess Saraswati, who offers in learning, and so on. So we have these various demigods, and so farmers, they offer prayers to the demigods, and they in turn are rewarded by rains and sufficient crops and so on, so they can have wealth and live comfortably. So there's nothing wrong in that, but then we will see what is where it leads to. So this is a story of Indra offending Brihaspati, right? So in the story, we see that one of the, of course, the chief demigod, Indra, who's represented as the chief, and he has all the opulences at his beck and call. So if we can imagine, the demigods, having all the comforts, and then there is, there's Indra, who's a lord of the demigods, the emperor, you can say. And here he's shown like in his palace, where you can see above Indra there is a white. There's a description here in the Bhagavatam of how there is this whole white canopy, and then he's fanned by yak tail. Literally, like how the personality of Godhead is treated. So he's treated there, in his kingdom, like in Indraloka, and the palace is rich and opulent. There are many Gandharvas and Kinnaras, like all singing, and they're singing down there on the carpet. We see all of them, performing, dancers performing. So Indra in general, like, is having a very opulent life. He does have huge responsibilities, in the material world, to control other demigods who are in charge of the weather and the various departments of the material world. But he himself obviously, lives the life of an emperor. And during such a time, Brihaspati, his guru, he appeared to pass the palace of Indra, and Indra did not, it is said, did not get up, offer him a seat, or even pay attention to him. So when a superior, let alone a spiritual master, comes, you're supposed to acknowledge them at the least. But he did not, because he was, so involved in all the activities. And Brihaspati, understood his mentality, and he just, he turned his head away and walked away. Here we see Brihaspati walking away, but the others around him, like, are paying obeisances. And Indra, it said, was with his wife Sachi Devi. Of course, we don't see her here. Women in general are more sensitive to such things. Also, the story of Nalakuvera and Manigriva, taking a bath with the other ladies, and when Lord Shiva, Narad Muni was passing, the women quickly covered themselves, in shame, and they went away. But Nalakuvera and Manigriva continued to be naked and did not care. So that's why they were cursed by Narad Muni, and of course came as the twin trees, Yamalarjuna trees, and Lord Krishna liberates them. But anyway, so the point is that women are in general more sensitive, and probably that's why you don't see Sachi Devi here, but still sitting at Indra's side. She probably was offering obeisance. But anyway, Indra remained, and Brihaspati, he walks away. And Indra, of course, he's of course, as we said, the demigods are not ordinary beings. So he immediately understands his mistake, repents, and condemns himself right there, in the assembly to to the others who are present, which of course, like, is humbling. It takes a lot, but he did that, and Brihaspati did sense that, and he understood everything, but he did not speak anything. He just left. So we see as a result, of course, Indra, after that, he falls down from his position, and eventually he is given the Narayan Kavach, prayers to come back. The demigods, they lose the battle with the demons. They're overpowered, and finally Indra gets the Narayan Kavacha through Vishwarup. The demigods, they take on a guru. They go and approach Vishwarup, and Vishwarup in his form, gives the Narayan Kavach and so on. Let me see if I had any. Oh yeah, so the last to wrap up. So in all this, so is it wrong to worship the demigods? Is really the question, right? Because in India we see that we have so many of demigods. Me personally, growing up, I can remember that we had various temples all around where I lived in Mumbai, in Chembur. So there used to be 5, 6 temples, like very close walking distance. And before every major exam, I used to do the rounds, like Chakar Marna of all the temples there, just offer prayers that, oh God, let me pass this one exam, and then I will give you maybe like 5 rupees or something, or offer an archana or something. And there used to be, Durga temple. There used to even be a Sai Baba temple. There used to be a regular Vishnu temple with all the Navagrahas. I used to do nine in circumambulations, and one temple for Siddhivinayak, smaller version, so and so on. So then I used to do the rounds and offer them all prayers. And after the exams, I would sometimes remember to go back and do a small offering. So is it wrong actually to worship the demigod? So Prabhupada explains that if you worship in the true sense, sincerely, where we are trying to approach the demigods to go to the ultimate destination, as we know, is Lord Krishna. So here we can see Lord Krishna at the top playing his flute, Shamsundar, and then all the other demigods are under him. Lord Shiva, Goddess Lakshmi, Saraswati, Hanuman, Ganesh. So they are all under him, and then they are in charge of various aspects, and they give us those, right, wealth, learning, and so on, like we said. And people in turn are expected, or they do worship them, and they get those rewards. But then if you're only worshiping for those rewards, or just for the immediate material comforts or benefits, then we are missing the point. And those verses of the Bhagavad Gita, they apply to such people. But Krishna himself says that those who are deluded, they worship the demigods, who are bewildered. So that means that if you're worshiping in the wrong sense, then we are going to miss the final destination or target. We are just doing it for short-lived. So we need to go for long-term goal or destination of Lord Krishna. So we can pray to them, saying, "Please help me, like in my path, remove the obstacles. Kindly remove obstacles," like we pray, and then help me on my path to go back to Krishna. So when I came to ISKCON, after I learned this concept, I did go back. When I go back to India, I still do sometimes rounds of those temples, and I try to adjust my prayers in this way. I don't know how successful I am, but at least since with this understanding of philosophy, we worship the demigods to surrender to Krishna, and then we will be successful. Thank you. Sorry, I went close right at 7. I don't know if there's time. Any comments or questions or corrections? Sharing.
Thank you very much, Sundaranand Pr. Hari Hari.
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful, wonderful. So thank you very much, all the devotees, for nicely observing the ceremony of the appearance of the Supreme Lord, Ram Navami, yesterday. I hope everybody had relished. If they relish, they can chant loudly, Hari Bol.
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 Yeah, very good. Yeah, we had close to 300 or more plates of prasadam distributed. So that's how we judge how many devotees may have come or come less or taken more, whatever. So that, yeah, deities are nicely decorated with wonderful shringar. Radha Shyam Sundar was carrying a bow and arrow as Lord Jagannath and Lord Balaram in the mood of Lord Ramachandra. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Tomorrow is Ekadasi. Minimally fasting from grains and beans and increasing our Krishna consciousness. So that's tomorrow. There'll be Ekadasi Kirtan in the evening. Yeah. Any other announcement, Krishna Babu? If he's on the call. Don't see him on the call. Okay. On that note, we wish you all a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead, and offer our humble obeisances at the lotus feet of all the assembled Vaishnavas. Vancha
कृपा सिंधु पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। वैष्णव वृंद की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Thank you so much. Hare.
There will be Ram Katha today, so you can make an announcement.
There will be Ram Katha today. Okay. Same time, Simeshwar Prabhu.
Yeah, I think it is at 7 o'clock only.
Yeah. Yeah. Ram Katha, continuation of the Ram Katha, which we had started on Saturday. We'll continue on today. Yeah. Simeshwar Prabhu is online. That goes on till Saturday, right, Simeshwar Prabhu? Yeah, okay. I think
Friday 10th, Prabhu. Saturday, I think a different class. At least as far as I know, but I don't know unless something changes.
Okay. Krishna Prabhu, you had any other announcement?
Tomorrow is Ekadasi, Kamada Ekadasi.
I did announce, and what is the, okay, breaking fast time? Let me just check in the calendar when we are there.
6:08 to 8:48, I think, or 8:50 to
6:04 to 9:40, 6:04 to 9:49 a.m.
Yeah.
6:04 to 9:49 a.m. on Saturday.
Yep.
Okay.
Continue your prayers for Pankajangir Prabhu. Still going up and down, serious still. Yeah,
Pankajangrai Prabhu. No, let's chant some 3 times prayers. I also for this wonderful congregation member from Chowako Temple and Bergen County later on. Manini Radhika Mataji, disciple of Bhakti Charu Maharaj, who left her body yesterday. Yeah. So let's offer our prayers. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
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 Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama, Rama,
Hare Hare.
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram, Ram
Ram,
Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Mahavishnu Thank you. Haribol.